setting a proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts. Refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize, which is Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you, in the sky in front of you. And how you visualize them. They are like your very affectionate parents, and you come home demoralized, and they are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. And Bodhiji the field. Visualize the 2 parents on 2 sides, and all family members, and all dear sentient beings around you. Again the same thing. How to visualize. Here you are the mother, and all others are your children. And imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. And the purpose of this class is to unravel the hidden treasure of Buddha nature that exists within each one of us. And to unravel this, there are so many factors required. What we have been doing as a part of the Narada Master's course, going to extensive studies, and then from this text which we are studying now, the part of enlightenment, the stages of part of enlightenment. So there, in a very practical, practice-based. So it should be through the richness of these various facets of the practice that we should be able to cleanse the mind and finally discover the ultimate treasure within that exists within each one of us. And imagine that you are leading this, and all sentient beings are happily joining you, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. Okay, page 3 of the book, the place of the 2 bodhicittas. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers and the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seek preservation complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes or suffering migrations to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of omniscience help subduers expand the variety of teachings. The one who had transformed into the reliable guide to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Juda Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dane Gyapsu Chi Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Penjir Sangye Jubarai Sho Sangye Juda Tsoge Chonam Chanju bardo dane gyapsu che, dage jinso gebe sonam ge, dola benjir sangye ju baraishu. Sangye joda soge chonam la, chanju bardo dane gyapsu che, gebe sonam ge, dola benjir sangye ju baraishu. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaya swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaya swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum gato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaya swaha. All phenomena arise from the causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. The next page. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-lined and non-composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I'll retire into the words. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times, I bear obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and teach under the untold expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay. Heart Sutra Mantra. Page 31. Tiyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tiyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tiyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tiyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Samgati Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. The next page, page 32. It was my training with the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem. May I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrong with abuse, slander and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats to me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my 2 collections, vast the space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were blinded by ignorance. Okay. We are doing the Song of the Stages of the Path of Enlightenment, which is on page 176. Page 176. Okay, we were on, I think, stanza 17-18. I think it is stanza 17-18. Those of you who were absent then, the recordings are all available. Recordings available. Okay, so I'm going to quickly give you the overview of what we're going to cover the first half of this session. Overview, and then we'll read this. It'll become a little easy. Okay, so as we recited the Harsuta mantra, Tyata Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Bodhiswa, which means that go beyond, go utterly beyond and establish your enlightenment, establish your ultimate happiness. So this is the point. So when we speak about the go is a journey, that we are to undertake a journey. So this is no doubt is an internal journey, it is not an external journey. The journey of discovering your ultimate potential, the source of happiness within us. So that is a journey. And for that matter, with the other technical texts like, say, the Narada Master's course, and now we're going to launch in the diploma course the 1 year diploma course. So there we go into such a detail, the exposition, and whereas in this the genre, what is known as the Lamrim practice, the graded path practice. So all the technicalities that we study, as a part of the technical texts, one is expected to have at least some understanding of these technical parts, and then we should be able to put them all together in its proper format, and then we actually go into the implementation, Gade, Paragade. So this is the point. For that matter, what is being done, starting from the beginning, to make to give you a quick overview, was that the first, of course, we need to say because that there are so many different parts, all are saying that I will take you to the ultimate happiness. And yet, if you actually go there, we see that the paths may differ. Although we say that all roads lead to Rome. Although we say that, okay, in a diplomatic way, yes, it's fine, you can say like this. But to be very honest, some say that, say for example, the philosophical concepts, so they're very divergent. And some can be, and then some may be very good but may not suit me, and some may be very good may not suit you. So that way, the point is that finally, because there are so many divergent paths, and should we follow blindly or should we follow rationally? This question. If I were to follow blindly, the question arises, then which to follow? So you cannot really decide which to follow properly. Because if in case, although we say that these all lead to the same goal, but in case if they don't, in the first place, how can I know that each of them will take to the same goal? How can we know that? It is a nice way of saying this, but in actuality, how can we know this question? Now, if they don't take to the same goal, then which is correct? If I were to follow blindly, then we are lost in the absurdity. We don't know which to follow. Because blindly following, if I were to follow A, why not B? So this question. So the most sensible way is, first of all, let's see if rationally something makes sense to us, rationally. So for that matter, first there should be someone to give the direction. So that is like the guide. And the guide, don't follow the guide blindly. Okay, let's listen to the guide. And whatever you learn from the guide, then subject this to analysis. For example, after Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr, the advent of Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr, then the people, they had a new idea of quantum physics, relativity theory. They're all coming up, which is a very different, the way of looking at physics, very different paradigm of physics. Whereas before Albert Einstein and the Niels Bohr, no doubt there were so many brilliant minds, but they could not get this idea. They only had to follow Newton's the laws of motion. And from that point of view, we see that there must be someone to give us some light as to where to go to the enlightenment, your ultimate happiness. And then once you get this light, and don't take it blindly, subject this to analysis and see if it makes sense. Okay, so this is so important. So in this connection, first one is to seek some guidance from a guide. And then the point is that, we'll come to know that there's our mind, it has a continuum. The self, I, this has a continuum. Not this life is not the end. This life, and it continues to the next. So even there, don't take it blindly. There's another point. Don't take it blindly. We have to gain conviction in this. How can I know that there is the reincarnation? So how can I know that I will not terminate at the time of death? How I will continue to the next life? So all these we have to explore. After knowing this, then it is like, say, the small children who only sees today and the playground, and cannot see what is tomorrow, cannot see what after 5 years, what after 10 years. Whereas the elders, they know if you let the child always be on the playground, then the child will end up nowhere after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So because of which the elders will continue to make sure that the child learns something, go to school. Okay, so we see that if there is the reincarnation, then the question arises that thinking of this life alone, it becomes very limited and it becomes like a small child's thought. And whereas to think, to plan for not only today but for tomorrow, the next life, that is the wise way of the approaching the reality. Okay, now to plan for the future, so why should we have to plan for the future? What do you want? I want happiness. What degree of happiness do you want? If possible, 100%. If not in this life, for sure, say, I don't want to suffer like this: sickness, aging, death, the depression, tension, and the feeling of pain of losing near and dear ones and so forth. All these pains, I don't want to go through these pains. And this is so acute pain. I don't want to go through this. And if there's the reincarnation, then this pain will continue in the next life also. Yes, it will continue. Unless we put a deliberate attempt, it will never come to an end on its own. So there are three things with the impermanent phenomena. In other words, all the composite phenomena, there are three things. One, which will come to an end on its own. For example, 2017. Whether you put effort to sustain it, whether you put effort to bring an end to this, automatically it will come to an end. Now it's already gone. 2017 is gone. Now 2018, whether you put effort to stop it, whether you put effort to let it continue, sustain it, it will not. There is some, after 365 days, it will automatically come to an end. This is one reality. Another reality is that there's something which will never come to an end. Even if you, despite all the efforts, it will never come to an end. For example, say the space. Space, however much you may put effort, it will never come to an end. Likewise, your mind will never come to an end. And likewise, your self, the self, doesn't come to an end. It continuously, it perpetuates. The endlessly continues. So that is another fact of the composite phenomenon. And third fact, if you put effort, it will come to an end. If you don't put effort, it will keep going. It will keep going endlessly. So that is our miseries. Our miseries, if you put in deliberate effort, we can bring an end to this. If you don't put effort, we can't expect them to come to an end automatically. So they will continue, perpetuate endlessly. So there are three categories. And the miseries, which we dislike, it falls under the third category. Because it falls under the third category, and of course we cannot really expect to bring an end to miseries altogether in this very lifetime. We cannot expect to bring the end to the miseries altogether today. Even if you put so much effort today, but the miseries can still continue tomorrow. But over time, we can bring an end. So even if you are a little poor today, but the person can be very enthusiastic, can be very hardworking, and with a very strong will eventually win over the situation and become, say, get over with the poverty eventually, not today. Effort must be started from today. Okay. So with this, if we seek 100% happiness, then what should be at least there should be the blueprint. Although we may not be able to achieve it right here, right today, or right in the 1 year, or say this life, but we must at least have a blueprint. So what do you mean by 100% happiness? From what we learned earlier, was that finally the point is that the miseries which we dislike, like the sound of a clam, it should necessarily come into being by the combination of the two factors, external factors and the internal factors. So the external factors is so innumerable, we cannot possibly think of eradicating them altogether. But internal factors, yes, we can get rid of the internal factors. Of the two, when the internal factor is removed, then the external factor, it becomes, however strong the external factor is, it becomes like a thunderclap of one hand. However strong the one hand is, the sound of a clap stops. The miseries stop. No matter what external factors you are in, you will never suffer at all when the internal factor is gotten rid of. So the question, now the wise approach is to think of eradicating the internal factors. The next question, what is internal factor? And how to get rid of this? So the internal factor, what we've learned thus far is twofold. One is on the one is the misperceiving the reality, ignorance, misperceiving the reality, ignorance. In other words, self-grasping ignorance, and the other one is self-centered attitude. The two things. With the self-grasping ignorance, you don't see the reality. When you don't see the reality, you may clash with the reality. You may clash. When the clash is there, you're not happy. With a self-centered attitude, you'll push away all others from you. When you push away all others away from you, you become very lonely. And then you are heavily dependent on others. For with the practice of the bodhicitta, we'll come to realize that we are heavily dependent on others. Okay. Same, the fact that this traffic, the traffic sound is there, we are very confident that we say like 20 people here, we can sit very comfortably here. Whereas if the Delhi is totally empty, nobody is there, everybody is gone, it's just us here, we can be very scared. We cannot comfortably sit like this. We have to lock from everywhere. Otherwise, anybody can come in to kill us or do anything, right? So therefore, we see that we are heavily dependent on others, and a self-centered attitude, it pushes others away from you, and then we're going to get your happiness from where you cannot. So we become so vulnerable once more. So we see that these are the two demons, self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. Okay. Now the point is that when you eradicate the self-centered attitude altogether, okay, let's see, when you eradicate the self-grasping ignorance, your miseries will come to an end. When you eradicate the self-centered attitude, then your happiness will become 100%. One, to remove the miseries, and number two, to expand the joy of the freedom from suffering. Because of what encounters the self-centered attitude is the unconditional love towards others. So with the unconditional love, you share this experience and your joy multiplies. So that will give you an infinite happiness. And the self-grasping ignorance, get rid of self-grasping ignorance, your miseries will come to an end. So of the two hands, one hand is got down with the self-grasping ignorance, then we see that the miseries, you will not have the miseries. But with the eradicated self-centered attitude, then it makes you to expand this joy. Expanding the joy, it becomes infinite. So the joy, you'll get infinite happiness. Okay, so basically we see that there are two things. Now this journey, gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha, is the journey to cleanse the self-grasping ignorance, cleanse the self-centered attitude, so that you'll be freed from the miseries and you will have the infinite happiness. So this is our goal. If you ask somebody, are you keen on these two things, that your misery comes to an end and that your happiness is infinity, then everybody, whether you're believer or non-believer, whether you're Buddhists, Hindu, Muslims, Christians, Jains, the Jews, everybody will say, yes, this is what I'm seeking, right? So now the question is, how can you achieve this? And this is the point. So these two things being our main goal, the point is that say to build the houses, there must be a ground, the ground. And these two goals are not something which we can expect to achieve in this very life or in just 1 year. It may take time. So because it takes time, not only it may take a few lifetimes, which means that the person should be able to see beyond this life, So somebody who puts effort, not remain caught up with this life, but to think of beyond this life. So these people we'll call as the spiritual people. In the context of this text, these people are known as the seekers. The seekers. Now, for that matter, we should be able to see the merits of, say, investing for the future lives, and the demerit of investing everything on this life. Okay, so this is one part. This is known as the path of the small scope person. Of course, we went through this in detail the earlier sessions. So at least one becomes wise not to invest everything on this life. Of course, this life should not be, there's no point why we should suffer in this life. We should not suffer. We should try our best, put effort to make sure that you lead a decent, comfortable life. But at the same time, investing everything, not thinking about the future lives, that becomes like a small child who thinks about only today, only things did today. So whereas to think about the next lives, we see that most of the people, in fact, 99.9% of the people, they may speak about next life and so forth, but what we actually do is just investing everything on this life. Because we are heavily influenced by the community. Your family members, and your friends, and the school time friends, the college time friends, the influence on us is so strong that we are just kind of a push to behave like a small child to think about only this life. Okay, so this is one. Now, when you think about the next life and so forth, so next life and so forth, so what? So in what way next life I can become better? In what way? In what way? So this life is important, this life plus next life. Combined together, you think of removing your suffering altogether once, number one. Number two, you think of expanding your happiness at infinity, number two. So these two should be the ultimate goal of ours, these two goals. So the goal to liberate, free yourself from the suffering, either in this life or with more efforts, the next lives. So that is known as the goal of the middle scope person. The first one is to make sure that the next life I'm taking care of, next life, whether I achieve liberation from the suffering or not, it doesn't matter. But next life I should not suffer. Next life, just as this life I'm not really going through acute suffering. Next life also, it should not be, at least I should have the sound physical body, sound physical, the thought processes and so forth, so that I can continue the journey. Whereas there are so many people who do not have the capacity, so many beings like animals, insects and so forth, how can they possibly think of continuing this journey? Because they don't have this faculty to think of emptiness, to think of bodhicitta, to think of next life and so forth. So therefore, the thing is that next life we should be taking care of one. Then number two, after being taken care of next life, then our suffering must come to an end, number two. Then when the suffering comes to an end, this happiness should not be just a very small happiness, but an infinite happiness, where the ultimate source of happiness is unraveled, fully disclosed fully. Okay, so there are three goals there. So of the three goals, the first one is the small, the middle one is of course the average, and finally the greatest one is to have the infinite happiness. So that is number three. So the first one is known as the goal of immediate happiness. Number two is known as the goal of nirvana. Number three is known as the goal of Buddhahood or full enlightenment. So these are three goals. Because these three goals differ in the quality, differ in the difficulty in acquiring this. So the first one which seeks to achieve the first goal is known as the path of the small scope person. And number two is the path of the middle scope person. Number three is the path of the great scope person. So we see that there are three scopes, and then the three paths taken to these three different scopes. Okay, so one individual person, like us, each one of us, the idea is that each one of us is not that, okay, you belong to the first category, you belong to the second category, you belong to the third category. This is not the idea. As each one of us, we have to grow, like say, from the junior class, then we are upgraded to the high school, then to the college. One individual person is upgraded. So likewise, we have to be upgraded from the small scope to the middle scope to the great scope. So this is the whole idea. Now what we've done thus far is the small scope, we are almost finished. Oh no, for small scope we are done. Now we are doing the middle scope seeking freedom from the suffering. Okay, so for that matter, okay, seeking freedom from suffering, the suffering is of two kinds: suffering of this life and the suffering of the future lives. Suffering of the future lives. So, feeling a sense of the renunciation, renouncing the miseries of this life and renouncing the miseries of the future lives. So then you renounce the miseries of all the miseries. So that is a genuine renunciation. So the second path is a path driven by the force of renunciation. Renunciation means to renounce the miseries of this life as well as the future lives. Now for that, to renounce the miseries of the total miseries, all miseries, we have to, what should we do? Renounce the final cause of the miseries. And the final cause of the miseries is self-grasping ignorance. So as we said, the sound of a clam, so the internal factor, one is the self-grasping ignorance, which stops us from achieving the freedom from suffering. And the other one is self-centered attitude, which stops us from achieving total enlightenment or total cleansing. Okay, so for the second goal, the main practice is the practice of the wisdom. Counteract this self-grasping ignorance. Wisdom. And this wisdom, keep in mind that this wisdom is like a light, a very bright light to dispel the darkness. Ignorance is like darkness. So this bright light, it should have two qualities. One is that it should be so bright. Number two, it should be steady. And then for the steadiness, there are two. Say the brightness is the wisdom to see the reality, the subtlest of the reality, which is emptiness. This is the brightness. Once you have it very bright, the next part to do is to make this light steady. If the light is not steady, then if there's wind there and the light is so bright but it's very flickery, then it cannot serve for us to read books and so forth. It's very disturbing. So therefore light must be bright and steady. So the brightness is the element of seeing the reality, and the steadiness is the element of the meditative concentration. So meditative concentration is required. Mental stability is required. Now for the mental stability, we see that what makes the mind unstable is the physical, verbal and mental actions. Physical, the disturbing physical actions, very aggressive, when you're very angry, even though you may be meditating like say 10 minutes a day and your mind is a little calm, and then immediately before you sit for the meditation, your neighbor knocks at the door as though like you are a terrorist. Then you become so angry, so agitated, and then the neighbor says, "I'm sorry, I thought I was knocking at my own door," right? And then you're all very angry, and then okay, fine, now you leave. Then it's my time for meditation. You do meditation? Can you do the meditation? No. So physical aggression that disturbs your mind. Likewise, verbal aggression can disturb your mind, and mental aggression can disturb your mind. So there are three agitations which do not allow you to have a stability of the mind. There are three agitations. Say the mental, the distractions, three. And these two are what? These three are the manifestations of your own mind. What made you to physically become so aggressive? Your mind directs you. And what made you to behave so badly, aggressively, verbally, so aggressively? Again, your mind directs you. And what makes you to think very aggressively is mind. So within the mind, we see that within the mind, there are three sections. There are three parts. One which directs your physical, one which directs your verbal, one which directs your mind. So which of the three is most gross? Say for example, say many people who are very intelligent, who are smart, who know how the law works. Right? Say even if you end up fighting so badly, you listen to the two of them shouting, and you make an impression that person A is going to kill person B. But the person even dare not touch person B, will not even touch. The moment you touch, what happens? You are going to be the one on the faulty side. So therefore, the thing is that to control physical and verbal, to control physical is easier. And yet the physical is so gross. To control the verbal and the mental, to control verbal is easier. The mental is very spontaneous, you cannot really control it at this stage. So we see that of the three, to control the physical, to control the verbal is easier as compared to control the mental. So now, when you control the physical and verbal, controlling the physical verbal, this is known as the practice of shila, practice of the discipline, which ordinary people can sense. Oh, this is the meaning of, okay, even if you are very angry, don't fight. Physically don't act. Right? So the controlling your mind, which directs your physical and verbal into aggression, into bad actions. So that is the practice of the shila. Then once you control the physical and verbal well, then what happens is that you will see that say your neighbor is being so nasty towards you, but physically you don't act, and verbally you remain very silent, but mentally you are still agitated. So there, the physical and verbal are under control. So the two gross ones are under control. So when the gross ones are under control, then it becomes a subtler. You are left with the subtler. Then the subtler one you can control it. Now controlling the subtler, which is the controlled mind, that is known as the samadhi. So controlling the physical and verbal, controlling your mind, which directs your physical and verbal actions, is known as the practice of the shila, practice of discipline. And controlling your mind, which directs your mental actions, that is the practice of samadhi. So with these two things, then what happens? Your mind is under control, and the mind has gained the stability. Once the mind gains the stability, that is the steadiness part of the mind, steadiness part of the light. Then on top of that, you have the brightness of the light. Brightness of the light, when complemented by the steadiness, then you have a very bright, steady light. So that has the ability to counteract the self-grasping ignorance. Once self-grasping ignorance is eradicated, then the iceberg on which the very vicious, all the bad what the constructions were done, they all will crumble automatically. So all the miseries will come to an end when the self-grasping ignorance is eradicated by introducing the three trainings: training in shila, training in samadhi, training in wisdom. So these are the three main practices that we need to employ in order for us to achieve the second goal, the goal of nirvana. Whereas for the first goal, the goal of immediate happiness, happiness meaning a good life, longevity, and so forth in the next life. For that matter, the practice we discussed last time is the practice of the morality, refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions. If you refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions, it's guaranteed that in the next life you will have a favorable rebirth, longevity, and all these good things will happen to you in the next life. That is the practice, the goal. The goal is the immediate happiness in terms of the good birth in while in samsara. That is the goal, and the practice that will take us there is a practice of morality, abstaining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. And the 10 non-virtuous actions, they are, say, 3 physical, and 4 verbal, and 3 mental. What are 3 physical? Stealing, killing, and sexual misconduct. And the 4 verbal: telling lies, slandering, harsh words, and idle gossip. And finally, the 3 mental are covetousness, malice, and then wrong view. Right? So we have to abstain from these 10, whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're a Hindu, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a non-believer, Jain, it doesn't matter. You practice, refrain from these 10 non-religious actions, everybody around you will be happy. And guarantee that your next life, even if you're not a Buddhist, you guarantee that you're the first person who's going to have a good birth next time, right? So these are not the labels, it is your practice that determines, right? Okay, this is the goal, the small scope goal, and the path which takes you there, and the teachings to teach about this practice to take you to the small scope goal, the goal of immediate happiness, that is known as the teaching of the small scope person. And the middle scope is what? To achieve freedom for yourself, freedom from suffering for yourself. That is the goal, nirvana. And what takes us there is the practice of the 3 higher trainings. The training in Shila, training in Samadhi, training in Pragya, the wisdom. So with these 3 trainings, 100% guaranteed that you're going to achieve liberation from suffering. Number 2. So the teaching, the set of the teachings which allow you to know what are the 3 higher trainings, how to practice them, and eventually how to achieve the desired intended goal, which is the freedom from suffering. That set of the teachings is known as the teaching for the middle scope person. Okay, finally, the teaching for the gray scope person. What is the gray scope person? What finally I want is the maximum happiness and no suffering. Not only no suffering plus infinite happiness, infinite joy. And we all have that capacity. We all have that seed. That seed is known as Buddha nature. That is within each one. Whether you're a believer or not, whether you're a Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. We all have this seed of the perfection. We all have that. It's just trying to realize this. Try to gain this conviction that this is there within me. Once you gain the conviction, then you look for ways and means to activate it. Look for ways and means to disclose this. Okay, so that is the miseries. It is like, say, the container. Say like this container, somebody chopped garlic in this, and then I will say, I don't take garlic, and then the person apologizes. Removes the garlic and wash it so carefully, so there's no garlic left there now. But if I smell it, still there's a smell there. So smell there. If somebody gives me a choice, whether you want to drink water in this or another glass without any smell, I would go for the other one. Although these are equally clean, no garlic at all. Okay, likewise, even if you remove the self-grasping ignorance, but the subtle smell is left of the self-grasping ignorance. That smell reflects in the form of self-centered attitude. So the self-centered attitude is still there within us, even though the gross self-grasping ignorance is gone, and then you don't have the miseries anymore. But your happiness is not as infinite as what the Buddhas experience. So for that matter, what we need to do is that we need to say the goal that we should be seeking is infinite happiness. And what is meant by infinite happiness? That is reflected in the form of your mind. Your mind, the true nature of the mind becomes manifest in its full form by removing even the subtle stains. You remove even the subtle stains, inactive stains. You have to remove them. What exactly is this inactive state? That we have to that we can know only through more extensive learning of what constitutes the ultimate reality, or what constitutes the cognitive obstacle. This is a very important topic, and I would very much encourage all of us to study that as a part of the more technical texts. Okay, so now the question is, so for that one, this goal of infinite happiness, we must have, this infinite happiness comes. For example, say if you love 10 person, so 10 happiness will be bounced back to you. And if you love 20 people, but the remaining and the 80%, 80 people, they are not happy with you, that you don't like, then you only get 20 happiness and the 80 unhappiness. Whereas you love all the 100 people, the maximum happiness comes to you. If you love the infinite beings, infinite happiness will come to you. So there your mind flows so freely. This is a beautiful concept. Beautiful concept. So this we can the study as a part of philosophy. In a philosophy, the particular philosophy is going to be quite technical, but the basic concept is, as I said now, that you're able to reach out to all sentient beings, as vast as the infinity. Then your happiness that you're going to experience is also going to be infinity. Okay, so now the next question is how to reach that experience. For that matter, again the goal and what practice to do. The goal is the infinite happiness, where your mental stain is removed altogether and the true nature of the mind comes out in its purest form. It becomes like a sun. Okay, so for that matter, what practice should I be doing? The practice is the same wisdom, but the driving force should be much more powerful. The earlier for the second goal, the teaching meant for the middle school person. So there the motivation, driving force is not as strong. Driving force is just the renunciation. Whereas here, the driving force should be bodhicitta on top of the renunciation. Bodhicitta meaning wishing to remove your mental stains altogether for the benefit of all sentient beings. So there your mind wants to reach out to all sentient beings. So that should be the motivation. With this motivation, the main practice that you should be doing is the wisdom of emptiness. But the motivation plays a very important role. So for that matter, this motivation, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, this unconditional love. This is something which we just cannot cultivate by saying this in the form of word. This is something that we have to cultivate by systematically engaging in the practice of the bodhicitta. The two methods, the method of the sevenfold cause-effect method and the method of equalizing the exchanges of others. The two methods, we must follow the two methods, only then we can expect to see this beautiful mind of the bodhicitta growing in us. Okay, with this motivation as the most important aspect of the bodhisattva's path, then what are you going to actually practice? The main practice is the wisdom of emptiness. And it is like saying, when you're hungry, what is the main job? The main job is to remove your hunger, to eat food. But to eat food, we also need the container. We also need the container, and we also need the kitchen. We also need the utensils. We also need even the washers, even the detergent to wash the dishes. All these small things are required for us to remove our hunger. When to eat, what actually helps us to remove the hunger is eating the food. But to make it happen, there should be all other accessories required to make it happen. Likewise, the actual practice is the wisdom of emptiness, driven by the force of bodhicitta. But to make it actually very powerful, it must be aided by the other factors. What are the factors? The practice of the six perfections. Okay, then the second part of our session that we're going to do involves what are the practice of the six perfections. What are the practices of this? What are the six perfections? And what are the divisions? So after making this commitment, oh, this is amazing, finally for my own benefit, even for my own benefit, I must become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Even for my own benefit, I'm a generate bodhicitta. After generating bodhicitta to accomplish your maximum goal, what should you be doing? You should actually practice something. What's the practice? The six perfections. What are the six perfections? Then the details will be explained in the second half. Okay. So with this, let us turn to page 178. Okay, yes, I'm yet to. The fun part small part was left. Now once you know that, okay, now I know that there are three goals. There are three goals. Goals for the small scope person, middle scope person, and the great scope person. And then there are the three paths. The three paths which will take us to the respective goals. Because there are three paths, there should be three different teachings, three different sets of teachings to teach us, to guide us what are the three goals and what are the paths that can lead us to these respective goals. Okay, it's amazing. And then this mom, so I have to first practically I go with the first, and then once I'm fully qualified there, then I have to upgrade to the second. Meanwhile, I have to continue learning all three, reflect on all three. Actual practice-wise, emphasis should be on the first, and then of course you do the second and third as well, but the emphasis must be for the first. Without the first, the second and third is impossible. Once you have the first for the small scope, then you go to the middle, emphasis on middle, because first you already have it. And the third one, you continue doing this, but the emphasis should be on the second. Then the second one is you acquire that full-fledged. Then you move to the third. Then the third goal is there. But the third goal, you want to achieve it speedily, or you want to achieve it taking a little time is fine. Oh, I must achieve it as soon as possible. If you want it as soon as possible, then you have to go to Tantra. So then it is the last part to expedite the third path leading to the total awakening, total enlightenment. That path, to expedite that, then the Tantra is taught as the last section. Okay, so let's turn to page 178, stanzas 17 and 18. Okay, so this is about the first goal. The first goal, what? Immediate happiness. And what do you mean immediate happiness? Which means before you achieve the second and third goal, how long will it take for us to achieve the goal number 2 and goal number 3? It may take us several lifetimes. If it takes us several lifetimes, then meanwhile we are going to take birth. In samsara, of course. Within samsara there are two categories. One, where you can actually practice this diligently, and the other, there's no facilities for us to practice. Without a practice, then you will never achieve that goal. So we must make it a point that we are in the proper environment where we can continue to practice the path of the small scope person and of the great scope person. We must encounter with this conducive factor. So this conducive factor within samsara is the human birth, celestial birth, these two. A human birth and the celestial being's birth. Of the two, human birth is far, far better for the practice. Far, far better for the practice. In terms of the facilities, in terms of the joys, happiness, and in terms of the number of the suffering, we see that the human beings, the number of suffering is more, number of the joy is less. And celestial beings, number of the suffering is less, and the number of the joy is more. But in terms of practice, finally your job is not just to enjoy, but to practice to achieve the long-term benefit. So we should be in an environment. So that the best environment is the human birth.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Rebecca.
I was just wondering, how did you convince yourself that we do get rebirth?
Okay, this is a huge topic. This is a huge topic about rebirth. This is a huge topic. And in fact, it is dealt with by Acharya Dharmakirti, the best book available in this world, not in this universe. In this universe, I don't know. In this world, 100%, the best book on rebirth, establishing rebirth by the rational reasoning, is Acharya Dharmakirti's book. This is the best book, right? It has 283 stanzas. Pramana Vartika chapter 2. Best book. And we already did a teaching on this, and the recording is available. Because this is a huge topic. It's a huge topic. and very important topic. Very important, a huge topic. So those of us who are interested, we can listen to the recording of that, the second chapter, Pramana Vartika. Okay. So with this, yes, without this result, then all these things, teaching for the small scope, the middle scope, great scope, they all become baseless. That's true. That is like the basis. This is the very ground for all the three, the teachings, the teachings to make sense. This is very true. That's very true. Okay. What I'm saying is that this requires a separate class. In other words, what I'm saying, this requires a separate class. And if you're still interested that I must have the class tonight, right? So it is like I must have economic physics tonight, right? So for that matter, the point is that we do have the teachings still available. Recordings available. We can take the recordings from Tibet House. Even the books, the soft copy is also available. Right? Soft copy of that book is also available in English. Pramana Vartika. Pramana Vartika, chapter 2. Right? The soft copy of the book is available, and the teaching on this is available, recordings of this is available, so you can do that. And later on, if the number is quite big, we can also do that separately, Pramana Vartika. Of course, as a part of none of the master's course, it is there as one of the texts to be studied, part of the syllabus. Okay. So with this, now let's go there. Stanza 17-18. Should you not find a suitable rebirth? Okay. So before we achieve the goal, the two goals, the goal of the middle scope person and the goal of the gray scope person, before we achieve that goal, where are going to go? There's no way to go. We have to stay in the samsara. And samsara is of two kinds, right? Samsara, it has say five places, and say the three unfortunate birth and the two fortunate birth. So we have to take birth. If you have to take birth, and if you want to continue this journey, gade, paragade, then you have to take birth. We have to be in a proper environment. A proper environment is the environment of the human realm and the celestial beings realm, or Deva-Devi realm. And of the two, the human realm is even better for that purpose. And whereas in the three lower realms, the hell being, hungry the beings, and the animals, so these three, it's not at all conducive for you to continue this journey. So for that matter, we have to go to the verse 2. Okay. Should you not find a suitable rebirth, swift progress along the supreme path will not occur. Progress of your path, gade cannot happen. So therefore, cultivate its courses in the entire. What are the causes of the taking birth? In a good situation, good environment, the practice of the morality, refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. That is so important. So in our life, just see to the best you can how you can refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. Just try your best. This is so important. We have to take some steps. We have to take steps. If we never take steps, then okay, sometimes we may falter. It doesn't matter. Simply because you are afraid of I may fall back, you're scared of that, then you don't take steps, it will never happen. We have to take some steps, right? Just see how much you can refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. Just see, right? And see what are the 10 non-virtuous actions, right? And 10 non-virtuous, maybe one, see how much I can refrain. I can refrain 10%, 15%, 80%, 100%, just see. And then if you can refrain only 10%, just if you can upgrade from 10% to the 11%, even that progress is happening, this is amazing. If you never think of, this is very difficult like this, then we will never be freed from suffering. We will never proceed. We will never go through gade. It will never happen. So we have to take some steps. We have to take some steps. While taking steps, be very careful. Just see practically how much I can do. how much I can do practically, right? We all can do something. We don't think that, okay, I want to, yes, that's very true, I want to become enlightened just tonight. Whatever thing to be done tonight, I will do it, right? Or for the next 1 week. No, this is over-ambitious. Don't be over-ambitious, be very realistic. Be very realistic, don't be passive. Be active and be realistic. Active meaning, do something. Do something. Take steps, right? Say, be mindful of the count. Just enumerate what the 10 non-virtuous actions are. And then see how much we can refrain from these 10 non-virtuous. Then just once in a while, just scrutinize yourself, your own actions. Scrutinize your actions and see how much of my actions tally with the 10 virtuous actions, refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. How much of my actions, what percentage goes in line with the, say, non-virtuous actions. Just see and then make a commitment that, okay, I may not be able to do it 100% per side, now 0% non-virtuous actions. This is not possible, but I'll make it from, I'll improve from, say, the 90% non-virtuous actions, 90% to 80%, to 70%, to 69%. Keep making it less. If this is what you're doing, this is a great success. And we all have that capacity to improve. So for that we have to take steps. This is so important. So it says, should you not find a suitable rebirth, swift progress along the supreme path will not occur. Cultivate its courses in the entirety. The causes of refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions of vital importance. So, 10 non-virtuous actions, refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions. How to refrain? Two things, which we already have. 10 non-virtuous actions, which we already are so rich in from the past lives and in this life. Right? And then the prospect of us engaging them in the future. There are two things. One which we already did, and one which the prospect of doing in the future. Two things. So one is make commitment not to engage in its full swing. I'll try my best to cut down on this. One. Number two, whatever we did in the past, see how to remove them, how to cleanse them, how to purify. Two things. Okay, it says, the cultivated courses in the entirety of vital importance is purification. One is purifying what the negativities, the non-virtuous actions which we already did, particularly of karmic defilements. Negativities meaning negative physical karma, 10 non-virtuous karmas, particularly of karmic defilements of the 3 doors, the 3 physical, 4 verbal, and 3 mental. Tainted by stains of negativities and infractions, relying on the 4 powers. By the help of the 4 powers, meaning the practice of the purification, the 4 powers of purification. One is the power of the basis, number 2 is the power of the regret, number 3 is the power of the antidote, and number 4 is the power of the not relapsing, commitment not to relapse into the negativities. Power of the basis, the power of the regret, the power of the antidote, and finally the power of the commitment not to relapse to the negativities. 4. Okay. Power of basis means that we tend to accumulate negative karmas, either related to the higher beings or the sentient beings. We denigrate the qualities of the high beings, then we ignore the sentient beings, we create problems for the sentient beings. The two things. For the high beings, to remove the negativities of the high beings, because the basis of part of our negativities is the high beings. So the part of the basis means related to the high beings, we take refuge. As we take refuge, we are saying that yes, I need you, I need the help of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Refuge means help, seeking help. I need help with the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. When you say that I need the help of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, you are bringing them closer to you. Right? So whereas the negativity says, who cares? When you say, who cares? What is Buddha? What is Dharma? What is Sangha? Who cares? When you say this, you are distancing. So when you take refuge, you are making them closer. So when you keep them closer, the distancing which you did earlier, that is the negativity. That is the removed. That is removed by making you closer. Okay. So same, if you run away from your mother, if you run away from mother 5 kilometers away, then you become hungry, then nobody is there to give you food. Then you remember your mother. Then you have to go back, you have to remove the distance. Right? If you have not run 5 kilometers away from your mother, then when you're hungry, you can easily ask for the food. But now you cannot ask for food. First you have to go back to the mother 5 kilometers. Right? So therefore, this is, going back is cleansing the negativities, undoing what you did earlier. What you did was, you went 5 kilometers away. Now you have to undo this first. Undo this, you come close to your mother, and then you can ask for the food. Right? Okay, purifying is undoing. The distance that you kept, you undo this distance, that is the meaning of the purification. Okay. Then the next one is for the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, enlightened beings, we take the refuge. For the sentient beings, we generate bodhicitta. Sentient beings, oh, who cares? This is just too hungry. This is not my business. Who cares? You are safe. You're fine. You are hungry. You're fine. You are thirsty. You're fine. Who cares? So this is lack of affection. So this lack of affection makes you to ignore others. So this, you built a tendency in your mind to ignore others, to look down upon others. There is a great negativity. This is the basis of anger. This is the basis of the aggression in your mind. So that is such the same, ignoring the sentient beings. This is very vicious karma that we accumulate. So how to remove that is, ignoring is distancing again. You distance yourself from the sentient beings. Now undo this distance. How? By embracing them. By embracing them, you are undoing the distance. Right? So by embracing them, how to embrace the beings, how to embrace the sentient beings, but the best way by which to do that is the practice of bodhicitta. Practice of bodhicitta embraces others, the sentient beings, so therefore distance is reduced. So distance you created out of anger, out of arrogance, out of ego. So that distance is removed by compassion. So when the distance is removed, your arrogance, they are all subdued. So that is the part of the basis, cultivating refuge and generating bodhicitta. There's a part of basis. Then number 2 is the part of the regret. The regret, the negativities that we engaged in, and then feeling a tremendous regret. Okay, so because of these negativities, I will not take birth in the favorable state. I'll take birth in the lower realms and so forth. This is so, this is very scary. I must not do this. It's so, I'm very unfortunate that I'm engaged in this. I will never do it again, like this. So feeling a very strong feeling of remorse and regret. There is number 2. What is number 3? Antidote. So for the antidote, say anything that we do, for example, like say the making prostrations, then circumambulation, recite the mantras, and then say the reading the scriptures, and meditating on emptiness, anything that you do towards counteracting the negativities, that becomes the part of antidote. And for the part of antidote, so we see that, as I said earlier, these negativities, so the best thing is by undoing the negativities. Undoing. How to undo? What is the nature of if you know the negativity, the nature of the negativities, then how to undo this you will know. Nature of the negativities is usually being aggressive towards others. Of course, say related to attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. Somehow the one which is related to taking birth in lower realms unfortunate situations is mainly harming others. Harming others. Harming others means pushing others away from you. So for that matter, what means to push others away from you? So technically, we see others as objectively harmful towards you. Others as objectively harmful towards you. Because of seeing others as objectively harmful towards you, this is out of ignorance. And then objectively harmful. Harmful means, what is harm? Harm means, I want the maximum happiness. I am the most important person. I want the maximum happiness, and this person is there to interrupt. This person is there to interrupt in me getting the maximum happiness. So therefore that person is harmful. So again, it is rooted to the ignorance and self-centered attitude. So any action that you do to counter the self-centered attitude, by the practice of bodhicitta, and to counter the ignorance by meditating emptiness. So these two are the best antidotes to cleanse, as actual antidotes, the antidotes to cleanse the negativities. This is the power of the antidote. And finally, the power of commitment not to relapse. Okay. So that is, after engaging, doing like this, then make a commitment in your mind. Okay, now I'm very happy that although I was engaged in negativities from so many past lifetimes and even this lifetime, but I'm very happy that I realized my mistake, and I've engaged in the power of the four powers of the purification. I'm so lucky. So that way you feel rejoice, and then make a commitment that henceforth I will not repeat these negativities. I'll never repeat these negativities. Okay, if this commitment that we make, if these four powers are very intense, then it says that there's no negativity which cannot be cleansed fully by the four powers. Okay. So it says, by relying on the four powers regularly is thus essential. The Venerable Guru practiced in this manner. I, the seeker of liberation, will do likewise. Okay, so this text is so beautiful. The point is saying, on the one hand, we have, of course, the learning is so important. The emphasis, so much emphasis in the teaching of the Buddhism. The learning is so important because with the learning, for example, say these questions come up. Okay, you should practice this, right? Some people will just automatically follow, blindly follow. And then some people, they will ask a question. Okay, so what's the problem if I don't practice it? Then in your next life you will suffer. How do you know that there's rebirth? Next life. Right? Okay, so for that matter, the learning is so important. And this is heavily emphasized in the teaching of Buddhism. The Buddha emphasized so much on the need for us to be objective. Don't follow blindly. Need for us to be objective. And to ask any question that you might have, you should be feeling free to ask any questions pertaining to any doubt that you might have. This is so important, so precious. So precious. So for that matter, the same, now the two things. Same, let us say the rebirth is there, and then you are doubtful of the rebirth. Let's say this rebirth, but you are doubtful of the rebirth. And then same, I have no clue, by eating what's that? Paranta. By eating paranta, my hunger will disappear. I do not have any clue, right? I'm very hungry. Okay, the Radhikala, I'm very hungry. So what will you do what should I do to remove my hunger? Radhikala said, don't worry, just eat some paranta. And I have no clue whether it will remove my hunger. How do I know that eating the paranta will remove my hunger, right? Okay, somebody asks this question, and somebody, just follow blindly, right? So the point is that even if you follow blindly, but your hunger gets removed, right? But on the other hand, there may be another person who says that, okay, drink water, your hunger will disappear. Or somebody may say that just suck in the air, your hunger will disappear. Right? There are three people following three different people. blindly. And the one who is lucky one, who met Radhika, that person is lucky, the hunger is removed. Whereas the other 2%, with the drink water, your belly is still very full, and then you still feel that the energy, you still feel the need of the energy. And by just sucking the air, it doesn't help you. Right? So therefore, saying all three follow blindly, all three people follow blindly, but one is very lucky and the other two are not lucky. Right? So the point is that if there is a system which depends on the objectivity, emphasis on objectivity, and then if somebody follows it blindly, that person is lucky. That person is lucky. Whereas for us, if you are the one who belongs to this category where you have a doubt, then better not to follow blindly. Following blindly is very risky, right? Okay. The Venerable Guru practiced in this manner, I, the seeker of liberation, will do likewise. Okay, now the practice of the person of the immediate scope, intermediate scope meaning the middle scope. Yes?
If I may ask a question?
Yes.
About the antidotes. Some books refer to antidotes, very specific antidotes for each of the...
Hello, so some books refer to very specific antidotes to specific bad habits or specific things.
Emotions.
Yes. Whereas you had mentioned a much more wisdom-based of antidote kind of thing, which is very overall encompassing sort of antidote. Would you be able to shed some light? Because there are many books saying very, very different things about antidotes. For this bad habit, do this, for this, do this.
Yes, that's very true.
Would you be able to please walk us through a few of the main bad habits or actions and specific antidotes, please?
Very good. Okay, this is a very practical question. Let's say, yes, you're right. And it is not that one is correct and the other is wrong. All are correct. Right? So one is tackling, say for example, when you have fever, high fever, and the fever is coming out, heat is coming out, and the high fever, then you put the wet towels on your forehead, right? So this is antidote. Is this a final antidote? It's just a symptomatic antidote, right? But this is very important. Because, now the Logaji, he has a very high fever, put in towel. No, this is not the final antidote. Antidote is the final medicine. Then we have to go to Chandigarh, right? So we take him on the road, then you may go into a disaster, right? So both are required, immediate measure and the long-term measure. Immediate measure may not be the ultimate measure, right? But without the immediate measure, you will not get even the chance to do the ultimate, the measure. So the specific remedies, they are given there as an immediate measure. For example, for anger, love and affection is prescribed. For attachment, meditating on the impurities and so forth is advised. And for the pride, seeing the vastness of the reality, vastness of the numerosity of the reality, seeing that, then your pride will go down, right? So these, the antidotes are told there, right? And these are the immediate antidotes. They are very helpful. We have to resort to these antidotes. Right? Same, if you feel, say, when you go to the crowd, and then if you feel a phobia, right, in the crowd, then don't force yourself to go there, right? The immediate antidote is stay home. If the problem is very severe. If the problem is not too severe, then we have to slowly practice it. Go there for 5 minutes and come back. So your mind will slowly get tuned to that. You getting it? Okay, so both are correct. Antidotes, there are two, immediate remedies and the final remedies. Okay. the practice of the person of the intermediate scope. Intermediate scope meaning the middle scope. What's the goal of the middle scope? Nirvana, freedom from suffering. So what takes you there? What should we practice? The three higher trainings. The training in Shila, Samadhi, and wisdom. Very good. Okay, let's see. Stanza 19 and 20. If you do not strive to contemplate the fallacy of the truth of suffering. Okay, this is a very serious question. Okay, for this, there's a practice, and the driving force. If you don't have the driving force, then you will say that I'll do it tomorrow, then I'll do it next year, and the next year never comes. Right? It's always this year. So next year never comes. So why? Although you may be knowing, but you don't practice it. Why don't you practice it? Because we don't see the sense of urgency. So with the sense of urgency, it will give you a very strong motivation. With a strong motivation, with a sense of urgency, that I must leave this samsara. This samsara is very scary, right? This samsara is very scary. Only if we realize this, it becomes so alive, as though like the whole house is on fire, right? You will not say, okay, I'll stay here till tonight, and tomorrow something may happen. Will not say this. Will run away, because you see the urgency, the immediacy, and the urgency there. Okay, so for that matter, first of all, why do you want to achieve nirvana? Because the samsara, where I'm now, is a very scary place. And it's not just lenient. This is not a lenient or mediocre. The fear is an acute fear. If you do not strive to contemplate the fallacy of the truth of suffering, how the truth of suffering of samsara is so acute, a genuine wish for liberation will not arise. The motivation will not arise. If you do not contemplate the cause of suffering, even if you contemplate the suffering so much, but if you don't contemplate on the cause of suffering, you will not know how to cut the suffering. You'll just continue to suffer. If you do not contemplate, I remember my father, I remember when I was very young, age, I think age 6, 7. Now I come to realize that my father suffered from tuberculosis, and then he did not have any clue what that is. His body was becoming more and more frail, losing weight, and then he sweats a lot, and then he did not have appetite for food, and the fever coming once in a while, recurrently. And I remember what he was doing is that early morning he used to drink hot water, and he thought that this is going to remove this problem, right? Which means that he knew that something severe problem was with him, but he did not know what is the cause of that. And because he did not know what is the cause of that, he did not know how to get rid of the cause. Right? Likewise, even if we think of the suffering nature of samsara so much, but if we don't think about the cause, what causes this suffering? The truth of the suffering, and the second truth of the cause of suffering. If you don't reflect on this truth of the cause of suffering, you will not know how to get out of samsara. Okay, let me read this again, stanza 19 to 20. This is very important text. If you do not strive to contemplate the fallacy of the truth of suffering, a genuine wish for liberation will not arise. If you do not contemplate the cause of suffering, the doors to samsara. Samsara is the suffering, and the door is the cause of samsara. Knowledge of cutting the root of samsara will not arise. Therefore, generating renunciation characterized by a feeling of despondency or feeling of repulsion to a samsara, as well as having knowledge of what binds you to samsara, is imperative. Two things. One is that samsara, I must bring an end to samsara. Samsara is a very scary place to stay. One. Number two, and the cause of suffering. what really binds me to samsara, the cause, to know these two things is imperative, is so important, is indispensable. The Venerable Guru practice in this way, I, the seeker of liberation, will do likewise. So this is it's a great inspiration that my gurus practice it like this. This is how they practice, and not rituals. Not rituals. Rituals are there. We are not, by no means we are to demean the rituals, but emphasizing everything into rituals and forgetting about these points. This is where we are going wrong. The Venerable Guru practice in this way, and I, the seeker of liberation, will do likewise. Now the general practice of a person of the highest scope. Okay, so from this, what we did was, what we talked about what is the goal? The goal is to free oneself from the suffering, which is nirvana. And what takes us there? The practice of the 3 high trainings. And it's not mentioned here. Yes, it is mentioned there in an implicit way. How? So we have to know the cause of the suffering. What is the cause of suffering? If you know the cause of suffering, what is that cause of suffering that we should be knowing of? What is that cause of suffering? Self-grasping ignorance. So to cut the self-grasping ignorance, what should we be doing? We should be cultivating a very bright, very steady, bright wisdom. The steadiness and the brightness. So the brightness is what? The wisdom to see the ultimate reality, to dispel the ignorance. And the steadiness is the mental stability. Mental stability has to be done in 2 ways. First, remove the gross distractions, disturbance. Number 2, remove the subtle disturbance. So the practice to remove the gross mental the disturbance associated with the physical and verbal is known as practice of Shilla. Practice of Shilla, say basically to be mindful. Okay, what am I doing? What am I saying? I should be mindful of what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm eating. Okay, but it's by just lack of mindfulness, am I hurting others? All these we should be mindful of. So this will build the mindfulness. Mindfulness meaning that your mind is very stable. It is not distracted, going haywire. It is very stable. So then once you're aware of how your mind is behaving pertaining to the physical action and the verbal actions, then when these two are automatically coming, physical and verbal, these two are automatically under control without any effort. It becomes effortless. Then your mind will turn towards the mental. How your mind, which directs the mind, do behave. You see that more clearly? Okay, say a tinge of, say, the agitation, a tinge of laziness, a tinge of impatience. So these things come in your mind, you are aware of that, and then without any the effort or without any, say, the intention, your mind gets distracted, it cannot sit, right? And then without any intention, you want to do the meditation for long, and your mind sinks. So these are all purely mental. Pure mental. Then you control these things. So that is known as the subtle, to control the mind in a subtler form of the distraction known as samadhi. So the practice of the shield, practice of samadhi combined together will bring out the stability of your mind. And then the wisdom is cultivated separately, combined together becomes the final remedy to overcome the ignorance, the cause of the miseries. Once the root of the poisonous tree is severed, then however millions of the poisonous leaves they are growing, they will all dry automatically. Okay, so this is this so beautifully taught there, but the main subject matter, they are all implicitly mentioned there. Then finally, the general practices of the person of the highest scope. Okay. So there again, the three, what we should be doing, the motivation, the practice-wise is the same. Wisdom of emptiness is the same wisdom, because for the great scope, what is the goal? Buddhahood or total awakening, full awakening, Buddhahood. What would be Buddhahood? Which is where the metal stain is Buddhahood is actually within us. Within us, but it is in the form of the gold mixed with the soil. When the gold is mixed with the soil, you don't see the gold there. It doesn't mean the gold is absent. Gold is there. Only experts know. Ordinary people will not see the difference between the gold mixed with the soil and the ordinary soil. They will see the gold mixed with soil also as the ordinary soil. But the gold is there. Likewise, the Buddhahood is inside us, but not in a manifest form. It is in a non-manifest form, mixed with the metal defilements. The way the gold is mixed with the soil. So now for that matter, what is that soil? The soil is the self-grasping ignorance and the subtle stains, the metal defilements. And the metal defilements, somehow we can summarize them in the form of all the offshoots of the self-grasping ignorance and the subtle stains. Subtle stains of the self-grasping ignorance. So the remedy should be the same, wisdom of emptiness, but the motivation should be more powerful. Motivation should be more powerful. Say, if somebody is to, let's say, if somebody is to fight for the American presidentship, right? And the person is not too ambitious or not too, motivated, right? And things are okay, people will vote for me, and my friends, they will do the promotion, they will do the what? They will help me, they will help me in my campaign. Okay, so they will do it. If this is a motivation, you cannot sit well for the debates. Without such zeal, you cannot be successful in the debate, and the other person is equally competitive, equally competent. So you cannot be successful. It's impossible that you will win. So therefore, enthusiasm, this is so important. This is so important. Okay. So with this, wisdom of emptiness is already explained earlier in the first part. But here now, what is additional required is the motivation, and with the practice. With the practice, main is wisdom of emptiness, which is going to be explained later, and plus the wisdom of emptiness, including wisdom of emptiness, the 6 perfections. 6 perfections including wisdom of emptiness. So that's a practice. So these 2 things will be explained here. First, motivation. General practices of a person of the high scope, 21-22. Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta meaning the aspiration to become Buddha. I will become Buddha. I will become totally awakened. I will become totally awakened. I will become Buddha for the manifold sentient beings. Bodhicitta, the central pillar of the path of the supreme vehicle, is the foundation of all the great deeds of the Bodhisattvas. So any action that you do, for example, say you give a piece of bread to a dog or a cat, and then the ordinary person gives a piece of bread. So both of you, is the same act of giving a piece of bread to the same dog or the animal, but how much merit you will accumulate, whether or not this act of generosity will serve as a cause for you to become enlightened or not, that is not determined by the action per se, that is determined by the motivation. So this motivation of the bodhicitta, with that motivation, if you just any action of say giving just 10 rupees to a person or giving a piece of bread to a dog, any action will become an incredible millions and millions unit of the merit, that too towards achieving Buddhahood. Whereas for the ordinary person, given the same act, maybe your unit may be 1 or 2 units, right? It's not like millions. And then that too, it will not be a cause of you becoming Buddha. So the motivation plays a very important role. So this motivation is so precious. This is like a gold-making elixir. Gold-making elixir. For example, we have the metals to be dumped in garbage, And then if there is the gold making elixir, you apply this elixir solution to the ordinary, all these metals to be dumped. You apply this, all these become gold. Are you going to dump them now? You're not going to dump. They become so precious. Likewise, this bodhicitta is like this, the gold making elixir. So this bodhicitta will make every action of yours so meaningful and so meritorious in terms of number, in terms of the quality. In terms of number, it will just multiply like millions and millions. In terms of the quality, it will take, this will serve as a cause to take you to Buddhahood, to full awakening. It's amazing. So therefore, this is like a gold making elixir. So this practice of bodhicitta, this is so precious. In fact, I may personally say that this practice of bodhicitta, and there are people who are, gifted with compassion, gifted with the quality of compassion, but if you don't practice bodhicitta exclusively, then the bodhicitta will never arise automatically, never. This is a very specific way of thinking. It's a very heightened, the amazingly, very high quality, sophisticated way of thinking. It's not just the plain compassion, very sophisticated, the thought process grounded on compassion. Sophistication is there. So that sophistication will come only with the practice, either from the same. What I would suggest is that now that we have access to both the methods, sevenfold cause-effect method and the eightfold, the method of equalizing and exchanging stuff for others. These two methods, both are there for, we have the disposal of these two methods. It is unwise for us if we don't practice these two methods, because if we do practice these two, you will see that you will reach to a very, very different level of the sophistication of your thought processes. Amazing sophisticated thought processes. So therefore, it will take time. Practicing these two things will consume much of your time. For us, I may suggest that you can do one method today, other method the next day, alternate in the two methods like this. Then the time consumption may be also less, and then you will also see the benefit. Whereas if you do have time, like 24 hours in your hand, then I would suggest you to do the two methods every day. That's my suggestion. If you feel that I cannot, then I would say, then also there's no choice. Better to do something than not doing anything. And you do it, believe it or not, you will see the wonder later on. You will see the wonder, the amazement, the wonder of the sophistication of the thought processes built on an amazingly beautiful compassion. So this is what will happen only if we practice these two things. Otherwise, just by say talking, sharing, and then we don't actually. First of all, we have to know this. Of course, we have to study. Without studying, we will not know how to practice it. After knowing this, then if you don't practice this is a great, great, great pity and unwise. But practice the two methods. Okay. 21-22. Bodhicitta, the central pillar of the path of the Supreme Vehicle, is the foundation for all the great deeds of the Bodhisattvas, a gold-making elixir of the two collections. Two collections meaning collections of wisdom and a collection of merit. It is a treasure trove of merit. Is what I said? With the bodhicitta, it will do two things. Any action that you do, it will multiply this infinite number of times. It is like a treasure trove, place where it's like a gold, the treasure island. One. Then number two, it's a treasure. It's not just the number. It's a treasure. It's just so precious. Why precious? Because this will directly serve as a cause to take you to total awakening, to become Buddha. Quality is given and the quantity is given. Quantity of the merit is given and the quality of the merit is given. So both are given by this bodhicitta. It is a treasure trove of merit for collecting the vast accumulation of virtues. Knowing this, heroic bodhisattvas cherish this precious mind as a supreme practice. Heroic, this word is used because the actual practice of bodhicitta people, it has a tremendous benefit, but people can, there's a tendency for us to go through challenges. And how many people can face the challenges? Those people, when the challenge is 5%, people, they say 90% of the people can face it. When the challenge is like 50%, say 60% will drop. When the challenge is 80%, then only about like 10% will, 10%, not even 10%, 5% may be able to carry on. And if the challenge is 95%, only 1 or 2% can continue. Otherwise, the remaining will drop. So therefore, this is such a noble deed, but nobler the deed, more the challenges. More the challenges, more the willpower that we need to have. So people who have a really great willpower to pursue through a noble task, these people are known as the heroic heroes. Okay, so the bodhisattvas, they are referred to as the heroic bodhisattvas, cherish this precious mind as a supreme practice. So this is the most precious practice. Anyone who practices this, we can refer to that person as Rinpoche. Anybody who has actually generated this, that person is a real Rinpoche, right? So we call Rinpoche meaning the precious one. So we call, oh, this Rinpoche, that Rinpoche, and so forth. The real Rinpoche is person who actually manifests this quality within you. So this is what is mentioned here. Knowing this, the heroic bodhisattvas cherish this precious mind. Precious, meaning the Rinpoche, the precious mind. Then you really become, whether you are labeled with the Rinpoche or not, it doesn't matter. You are the real Rinpoche. Precious mind as the supreme practice. This is the main practice, hardcore practice of the bodhisattvas. The Venerable Guru practice in this manner, are the seeker of liberation are going to do likewise. Okay, so with this, which means that finally with this practice, what happens is that your motivation is set, takes a very different, paradigm, that may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this becomes your, priority, that my whole agenda is to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. Incredible sophistication of your thought process grounded on this beautiful mind of the Buddha, the compassion. So with this, then you said that may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. How are you going to become Buddha? This is the next question, right? How are we going to become Buddha? So for that we have to practice something. We have to you materialize the aspiration, the kind of aspiration that you have. How to make it materialize, this aspiration materialize? It is through engaging in the actual action. What kind of actions? 6 perfections. If possible, 6 plus 4, but at least the 6. If you have the 6, the 4 is included there. So what are the 6 perfections? Perfection in generosity, perfection of ethical discipline, perfection of patience, perfection of joyous effort, of enthusiasm or perseverance. These 3 are synonymous. The practice of enthusiasm or the joyous effort or perseverance, and finally and then number 5 is the practice of the samadhi, and finally the practice of wisdom. So these 6. Okay. So these 6 I like to quickly, I think we can finish this, not the whole text, but let's say, let me give you the overview, and I'll go into the text today. On this, I'll give just overview. So the first one is the practice of generosity. Practice of generosity, let's say generosity. Generosity, what underscores this generosity is feeling of closeness. Only if you feel close to someone, then the generosity happens. Even if you have so many extra things you don't need, and they're like the burden on you. But if there's someone who is desperately in need of that, but if that you don't like this person, you will not give it. You rather throw it away, right? Which means that love is not there. So what underscores the generosity is the feeling of closeness. Feeling closeness, this is the benchmark of the Bodhisattva practices. Feeling closeness. So the feeling closeness, the fabric is laid, the ground is laid with the generosity, practice of the first generosity. Okay, so then with this what happens is that, say, our mind tends to be, before this feeling of love, what happens is that we tend to be, push others away from you. Push others away from you. When you push others and people come, then you harm others. Right? So number two is, all these tendencies that we have built to harm others, that is kept under control. That is the practice of the shield. Shield to refrain from harming others. Okay. That is number two. Then what's third? Patience. And then, how long have we been practicing such things? Refraining, harming from others, harming others. How long have we been practicing, from how many lifetimes? Not at all. So therefore we don't have the habit of doing this. Same, if somebody says that, okay, if somebody is the nature of the job of the person, is to always move here, there, not sitting for even for 5 minutes, right? Not sitting for 5 minutes. If this is the job for the last 40 years, and suddenly, okay, now you are retired, and then you are given a job, okay, now samadhi practice. And you sit in samadhi, what happens? In 2 minutes, in 1 minute, you'll fall asleep. This is what happens to many of the people whose job is very busy. Busy, their mind is so active 24 hours. Even when they're not actually doing, their mind is still active. So for such people, when you say, no, now sit and do the breathing meditation, in 1 minute, before 1 minute, the person will fall asleep. Which means that the person does not have that habit to retain the mind in focus. Now, it's all just moving so fast. Okay, for that matter, doing good things, we don't have the habit. Refraining from harming others, it's very difficult for us. For the Bodhisattvas, it's very easy. For the Shravakas, it's very easy. But for us, it's very difficult. We don't have this practice. Okay, same, somebody says, oh, you're stupid, you're stupid. This is a very immediate reaction that we have, right? This is a very immediate reaction. So we don't have this habit to retain this practice, right? So what happens is that, okay, now I can't do it anymore. When you say I can't do it anymore, impatience. So impatience is what is bound. Impatience is what stops us from doing this practice consistently. Impatience. Next is the impatience. So for the impatience is what? What's the experience of impatience like? Tremendous joy is coming to you when you're impatient. What is the experience of impatience like? Anyone? Irritation. Right? Irritation means your mind is at peace, stable, focus. Focus is lost. Right? Focus is lost. So therefore, first what we do is that impatience. Impatience where your mind is irritated, become irritated. So say we are in place A. We are in Delhi, and then we are going from the audience of His Holiness the Dalai Lama towards north of India, which is like 500 kilometers away. And then what we do is that we drove 500 kilometers south. So first thing that you have to do is, oh no, where are you going? Oh no, we are going for audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, you're going south. Right? And you are saying that I'm going for audience with His Holiness, for His Holiness. This is not where His Holiness is. His Holiness is in the north. Right? So what you have to do, first you have to undo the first 500 kilometers. We have to undo you have to refrain. You have to refrain from, you have to stop. You have to stop moving the air and come back. Come back to normalcy, to Delhi back, right? Okay, so that's aggression is there. Say no, irritation, right? So first irritation is to stop and to make our mind back to normal. So this irritation, this irritation is what? Impatience. To stop that, what is the counter force? Patience. So what Dogeshi was asking, the immediate measures for the practice of, for the impatience. When you go into the practice of virtues, refraining from the non-virtues and so forth, we are bound to be irritated because this is not our habit. Because it is not a habit. For that matter, we are bound to be irritated. We are bound to be impatient. So first we have to stop the impatience, the aggression, impatience, irritation. We have to stop that. And then keep it back to the normal state. Okay, so that is done by the practice of patience. What is next? Then the joyous effort. Then once you are here, once you come back 500 kilometers towards the south, come back to Delhi, then you have to, okay, now at least I've made, now I'm normal, now I'm back home, right? Back home. Now my job is to go to Dharamsala. So there, to move there, the next one is, now the irritation stops. When the irritation stops, then there's room for the joy, right? Now, with the joy, you can move faster. Without the joy, you can move faster. With joy. Any action with joy, it will be so swift. It will be so swift and so effective. So therefore, the passion. In any career that you engage in, that passion is so required. So first one is control. Control the irritation, the unhappiness. So when that is under control, then don't just stay there. Don't just stay there, don't just keep it neutral, make it joyous. So that is done by the joyous effort, or the enthusiasm, or the perseverance. Okay, now with this joy, what should you be doing? Find out what you should be doing. Find out what you should be doing. You should meditate on the wisdom of emptiness. This wisdom of emptiness is what you should be practicing. For that matter, this wisdom of emptiness should have two qualities. What are they? One is the brightness, and the other one is stability. So the stability, without the stability, just with the brightness, it will not help. Stability must be cultivated. To cultivate stability, this joyous effort must be applied in order to cultivate the stability. What is that? The practice of samadhi. So now, once the stability is cultivated, you use the same with the stability, then whatever you focus on, it will become very effective. So then you focus on the wisdom of emptiness. That will give rise to the wisdom of emptiness, right? The wisdom, perfection, wisdom. So these are the 6 perfections. Okay, we'll stop here. So next Friday we will easily finish this. Okay, yeah, we will do the quick dedication prayer. Okay, page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful chariots, the Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave Manjushri and Samanabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not arisen arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanju Semjo Remboche Magya Banam Ke Gyoroji Gyaba Nyamba Mebaya Kone Kondo Pebarai Shu. As as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into their enlightened state. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization that these in the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times and to the upholding the Dharma of the teaching and realization. May I know all life through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect will in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem, I confess the negativities individually, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the beings of the snow land. You, the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my life, never separated from perfect gurus, we enjoyed the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may I could attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origin in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, good night.